As soon as he could get some air into his lungs, Goku went to stand, a scowl on his face ready to leave, but Chi-Chi and Bulma kept their arms around him. "Goku," Bulma warned with sympathy on her face, "don't rush off doing something stupid. We need to think about this carefully." But Goku could see she was barely holding herself back, and Chi-Chi was just scowling at the sky, barely holding back tears. Chi-Chi was about to scream at Goku to go get their boys, but the glare she saw from Bulma as she was about to open her mouth stopped her in her tracks. "He's stronger than you, Goku. We have to think about this carefully." "Okay." Goku wanted to argue that he could beat him, and he had only been caught by surprise, but as he went to open his mouth, he felt another power coming towards them. It was shaky and subtle, and it took him a moment to recognize that it was Piccolo. He had gotten so close without any of them noticing, he could guess that meeting his supposed brother had really shaken him and the others up. Piccolo arrived, still panting, his face a mask of anger. "Did you see where he went?" he screamed as he hovered just above the house. The group had already taken defensive stances, waiting to see if he came to attack, now that Goku had been momentarily thrown off. "Piccolo," Bulma said as her hand hovered just over her pocket for her mech capsule. But Chi-Chi was already annoyed, and with Bulma stopping her from shouting at Goku, she could shout at him. "Hey, you overgrown cucumber! Didn't he beat you down too? Why aren't you going after him?" Piccolo growled. The woman was still as much a loudmouth as he remembered at the tournament. "Piccolo, it's good to see you," Goku said, looking up at his old rival. The man hadn't changed in all those years since they last saw each other. Goku knew that both of them had been pursuing their own training. Goku did know that his brother had caught him by surprise because, through all these years of training at home, Bulma had made him a machine to replace his weighted clothing after it was randomly suggested. "Hey, Goku, wouldn't it be cool if you had a room that you could change the gravity in instead of having to wear weighted clothing?" Chi-Chi had been very supportive of Bulma at that moment, as washing Goku's clothes was a workout on its own, and sometimes broke washing machines. Bulma had said she could just hire someone to do it, but Chi-Chi was insistent she does it herself, because honestly speaking, she didn't want to feel like a freeloader. "Goku, how about the time chamber?" Bulma suggested, which caught his attention. He had told her about it during their early years together when she asked how he had changed so quickly. She couldn't replicate the time effect, but one thing she got to work on with her father's help had been the increased gravity. Goku had been ecstatic when she had given him a capsule of the giant machine. He had used it a lot throughout the years, but only a few hours a day, or when he was able to. He did want to train more seriously, but Trunks and Gohan had been more than distracting, wanting to sneak out and train with their dad when their moms weren't watching. So Goku could never fully focus on his training, but did do enough to ensure that he could defeat Piccolo if he ever became a threat against the world. "Goku, I think you need to use the time chamber again," Bulma suggested after she had thought it over. "But Bulma, he could be hurting Trunks and Gohan right now. We need to go after him," he wanted to argue, but the glare sent from Bulma let him know that she had already thought of that. "Of course, I know that, but I don't want you to be rushing away to get yourself killed. Have you thought what would happen if you lost against him? What would happen to us?" Goku took a moment for the thought to settle over him as he looked around at all his friends, the family that he got when he decided to take a chance and leave his hut to help Bulma on her adventure, their adventure. He took a deep breath as he steadied himself. Grandpa Gohan always told him to think before he acts. It took him a long time to remember some of the teachings he had given after having made an effort to block out the memories because it was too painful to think about since he was gone. So the idea of him failing was enough to stop him from rushing off and giving him an idea. "Hey, Piccolo!" Goku shouted up at his rival that had just floated there watching the whole exchange between the group. Piccolo looked at him with narrowed eyes. "What, you fool?" Piccolo asked as he began to float down. Goku was rubbing the back of his head nervously as he had an idea of what he wanted to do. "So, I'm guessing you're looking for the guy that says he's my brother." That sent a visible twitch on the Demon Prince's face. "That thing was your brother?" Piccolo stared him down as he landed. Goku laughed nervously. Yeah, apparently I think we can beat him if the two of us join forces, but it would be closer than I would like. Piccolo was surprised. Out of all things, he didn't think that would be the thing Goku suggested. You know I still want to kill you, right? He asked with a slight smirk. You would try, Goku said, standing straight and looking at his longtime rival with a smile on his face. And you know that I will definitely kill your brother for disrespecting me. That seemed to stir something on Goku's face for a moment. He might have to kill his brother if he was not strong enough to stop him without killing, which only reinforced his previous thought as he extended his hand out to a cautious-looking Piccolo. That's why I suggest we work together to beat him. If he needs to die, we will see if we need to do that, but let's cross that bridge when we get there. It was slightly uncomfortable for some amount of time before Piccolo scoffed, slapping away Goku's hand. We can work together, but when it's settled, I will kill him, and then kill you too. The answer was enough for Goku, at least for the moment. Then we need to get to the lookout and use the time chamber. Judging by how many people I think Raditz has killed, I don't think we can believe in his word of giving me 24 hours. Everyone agreed that someone who went ahead kidnapping kids, their word wasn't what one could call trustworthy. You will probably only have a few hours in the time chamber, but we could let you stay in there for the full year and call you out if we see him making a move, Bulma said as she was hatching up a plan. With that decided, everyone rushed off, beginning their journey to the lookout, which took some time from their clock to get there. As they all landed on the lookout, Kami was already waiting for them with Mr. Po by his side, waiting cautiously, most likely because of Piccolo. Hello, Goku and friends. I am guessing this visit is related to our newest arrival, Kami asked, his eyes never leaving Piccolo. Yeah, Kami, we need to use the time chamber because... Kami simply held up his hand. No need to explain. I know what you plan to do. He turned to Mr. Po, giving the other man a nod before he went off, leaving Kami watching over the others. Are you sure of this, Goku? Kami asked, seemingly at random, and all of them somehow knew he was talking about Piccolo. Even Goku could tell who he was talking about. I need someone close to me to help push my limits, Kami nodded, not questioning his old pupil this time. He knew that Goku would, if necessary, put down the Demon Prince if he presented himself as a threat and didn't want to provoke him into having to act. They were led to the giant door as Mr. Po waited for them. The room is already loaded with food and necessary supplies for 2 people for a year. The Z-fighters all glanced around, already knowing that Goku and Piccolo would be the ones entering. You have lost some time on your journey here. Thus, spending the full length will not be possible. Goku already knew that as he nodded to his old master. Kami opened the door, and Piccolo walked towards it, giving a glance and snarl towards Kami before entering the room and waiting for Goku. Bulma and Chi-Chi were nervously watching on. They knew it would only be a few hours for them, but it would almost be a whole year for him as they showered him in kisses and hugs that would have been death grips to anyone weaker. They reluctantly let him go as Bulma brought out the capsule in her pocket, handing it to him. They had decided that after Goku losing so many of them often enough, that she should carry them. Goku gave a kiss to Bulma and Chi-Chi before embracing them in a hug before he turned and headed for the door. As he entered, he looked over his shoulder and smiled at them while giving a wave. Call us if you need us, Goku said to Kami, but his eyes never left Bulma and Chi-Chi. Kami nodded as he started closing the door. I wish you luck, Goku. The door let off a loud thud as it shut, and Goku turned to find Piccolo with his arms folded, waiting expectantly. They had both taken sensu beams and were back at full power. That much was evident as Piccolo took off his hood, throwing the weighted clothing down, and almost immediately the gravity in the room suddenly increased. Piccolo was more affected by it than Goku, who was walking around with some strain, but not struggling as much as the Demon Prince. Well, Piccolo, it's been a long time, Goku said, as he stretched and warmed up, ready to charge at the Demon Prince. Piccolo wasn't going to be shown up that easily, and struggled to set his form correctly to get into a fighting stance. Goku smiled at this. He hadn't had someone to train with in a long time, and part of him was looking forward to this encounter. Here I come, Goku shouted before charging at him. The training as the months passed was torturous at times between the two, bordering on almost killing each other most of the time. Piccolo has almost taken an opportunity on which Goku was weakened to take him out, but the Saiyan had quickly shown him just how much they differed in power. Whilst Piccolo could push himself past his limits till he couldn't stand, Goku seemed to always outdo him. It was as if he got stronger every time they fought at the edge of death again and again. Thus, even after starting on a somewhat level playing field, the gap between the two had quickly grown. Goku used the gravity chamber almost obsessively, always ranting off about how he hadn't been able to push his own limits in recent times, thus he was pushing so hard. While Piccolo rested and recovered, Goku was like a machine never tiring his picture a face of focus. Piccolo had been shocked when he looked at the setting of the gravity chamber 2 days before they had to leave. Damn it, Goku. What in the hell are you? Goku had said they should spend the last 2 days just resting, sleeping, and eating to make sure they were fully recovered for when they were needed. It still surprised Piccolo that he could sleep in the room with him now. Well, that hadn't been the case earlier, as after many failed battles against his rival, Piccolo had attempted to kill him in his sleep. Goku had put an end to that, but it was Piccolo that felt even more defeated that he would be reduced to such tactics. Safe to say there were no more sleeping attacks after that. It was the next day as the gang waited outside for Goku and Piccolo to come out. They only had a few hours till they had to fight. Raditz hadn't been as quiet as they would like as he had gone on a killing spree, and when the other fighters wanted to call out Goku and Piccolo, Kami had denied them, not wanting to interrupt the two's training and saying those lost now could be revived later. But if Goku and Piccolo lost, they would be no future to save. They heard the door hiss as it opened, and Bulma, Chi-Chi, and the Z fighters turned in surprise as they saw 2 figures walk out of the room. Piccolo was wearing some of his gear as Goku stood next to him, wearing a new gi with bandages wrapped around his wrist and fist. Goku, Bulma and Chi-Chi said, as his eyes that had been taking in their surroundings settled on them. Bulma, Chi-Chi, I missed you, he said with a smile as the women ran at him before jumping into his embrace. He held them both tightly, having missed them after so much time away. Piccolo just stood by his side quietly as he waited for the sentimentality to end. Now if you're done, do you still want to save your spawn? Piccolo said, breaking their little reunion. Goku let them go as he smiled at them, and then at Piccolo and gave him a thumbs up. Let's go kick him off our planet!